Hi, ladies, and welcome in to the Ladies' Lunch Break. I'm your host, Crystal Fry, a woman's best friend. Today, I want to talk about responsibility and whether or not you are taking 100% responsibility for your life. Now, that's kind of a heavy topic. I get it. Believe me, I understand. It's also kind of an uncomfortable question when you really start to unpack it and get into it. So I want to tell you why I wanted to come on today and talk about or pose the question whether or not you are taking 100% responsibility for your life. I'm coming here to talk about it today, to ask you the question, because I very recently asked myself the same question. For those of you ladies who have been around for a little while, you may have caught the video, or for those of you in the replay, you may have gone back and watched one of the videos that I did where I shared a host of books that I have. And I shared during that show that I'm a reader. I read them, hard books. I have them on my phone. I listen to them. I'm a reader. Learners are earners. There's all kinds of fun little cliches you can toss into there for that. But my focus has been, some of you may know a little bit of my story, has always been geared towards self-development, personal development, trying to find what my purpose was, trying to really just kind of understand who I am. How can I do things better? How can I, be better? I'm always a person who believes that there's a better way for us to do what we're doing. There's always room for improvement. We're always growing and learning. And so recently, I found myself in a place where that stinky little old voice was back in my head, kind of yipping about, it was just really complaining about things. I don't like this. I don't want to do this. It was really just, and that's kind of what it sounds like up there, that particular one anyway. I was really just kind of frustrated with the situation. I was frustrated with the circumstances, and one of my little light bulbs went off. And I was very much reminded of, and I'm actually talking about this in more depth, more detail on the Friday night show this week. This little phrase that I picked up, the lesson I picked up out of a book called The Success Principles by Jack Canfield. And the little phrase that came up, the little lesson was, Crystal, you are where you are because of the choices you've made or allowed others to make for you. And I stopped. And I stopped complaining, and I was like, you know what? That's exactly right. This is on me, not my fault, okay? Because we're not talking about playing blame game, with yourself. But the truth of the matter is, I am exactly where I am right now, right at this moment, because of the choices that I have made in my life, or choices that I have chosen not to participate in and allowed other people to make for me. Listen, ladies, when you don't make a choice, that's still a choice because you're allowing someone else to choose for you. Even in the simple little things like, what do you want for dinner? That was a ridiculously frustrating, famous question around my house for quite some time. Not so much, now it's about the grocery store. Before it was more about eating out. Now it's about the grocery store. What do you want from the grocery store? But here's the deal. You can't complain about the outcome when you don't participate in the decision. Did you hear me? You can't complain about the outcome when you don't participate in the decision. So, if you say, hey, hon, what do you want to eat for dinner or whatever, and you allow them to make that choice, you can't complain about what comes to the table. Same thing in your life. So that little revelation for me spurred me on to go over to, I have in my office, I have this row of books over on the top of one of my file cabinets because the bookshelf in the den is full. But I have this row of books, and that's where more of my, it's kind of like my personal stash, I guess. A lot of those books that I shared on that earlier video when I was sharing those different, different things to read, different books, a lot of those sit up there so that they're within easy reach for me. And so I went over to my little shelf over there and I picked up this. And I said, you know what? I think it's time to dust this baby off because I am responsible for where I am. It's my choice. Might not be an easy choice. The options might not be great, but it's still my choice. And I am right now, listen, I am here live with you right this very minute because I chose to do that. I chose to create this community. I chose to put it out there. I choose to come on live every weekday at 12:30 Eastern and share information with you ladies so that we can build a sense of community. That's my choice. And so that was one of the profound lessons that I picked up out of this book the first time I read it was you are where you are because of the choices you made or allowed others to make for you. And so with that in mind, so I've cracked it open. I've started reading it again. And the very first chapter, and again, this is where this came from. The very first chapter is taking 100% responsibility for your life. And I thought, you know what? That's a really great topic. That's an excellent topic. And again, I am talking about this in some capacity on Friday night for my Friday Night Live show, but I wanted to jump on today just to toss that question out there to you ladies and to provide a little bit of context around the question. Are you taking 100% responsibility for your life? And for me, the first time I read this, again, it was eye-opening because I wasn't. Not at all. Not anywhere close. I blamed other people. I blamed things. I blamed my parents. I blamed my financial situation. I blamed the fact that, I couldn't make up my mind what I wanted to, do when I grew up. I wanted to be a housewife. I wanted to be a stay-at-home mom. Well, I didn't do, nor did I push my husband to do what was needed to be done in order for that to be a permanent situation for me. It was a temporary situation for me. I was able to stay at home for the first year with my oldest son. And then again, when we had our second son, beautiful, 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 would not give that up for the world. But I blamed having to go back to work on the fact that we needed the money. That my husband's job was not paying enough at that point in time for me to stay at home and to support our lifestyle. I had to go back to work. That was a choice because we didn't make other choices so that what I wanted, which was to stay at home and take care of my kids full time, could be a reality. But at that time, now my oldest is 18 years old, so that was quite a while ago. I didn't view it like that. I didn't view it like that at all. Instead, it was more along the lines of, why don't you make enough money for me to stay home? That's kind of not fair, is it? Not when you're in a partnership. There's two people there. I could have done some other things. Anyway, but that's what I want to come on and talk to you about and give you some context about, because we don't even, many times, we don't even realize, we don't even pay attention to the fact that we are blaming outward circumstances, other things, for our current situation. When the truth of the matter is, you are exactly where you are because of all of the choices and decisions that you've made or not made. Good, bad, right, or wrong. And this is not a time to go into like, oh, well, I'm not where I want to be. It's all my fault. This is not a time to go into beating yourself up. You ladies, I will never, ever, ever be the person who says you should beat yourself up over this, because I've done that, been there, done that, was very detrimental to my own mental health and well-being. And guess what? It doesn't work anyway. It never works. When you sit there and beat yourself up over something, do you have a better outcome? No, you don't. You feel worse about yourself. So why do it? And I know that's easy to say, especially for those of us who are recovering from, because we're always in a state of recovery when we come out of something like that, because there's always potential for that little voice to pop back up. But for those of us who spent a long time, or maybe who are still doing it, blaming yourself, putting yourself down, really beating yourself up because things didn't go the way you wanted, or because you made a poor decision based on the options that you had. Maybe you could have, looked for a different outcome or a different option to give you a better outcome. I will never, ever, ever condone beating yourself up, because it doesn't work. It's not worth it. I promise. So just stop right there. But I want to come on here and talk about this because, ladies, I don't think we are doing a good enough job at taking 100% responsibility for our lives. I believe that there are a lot of us who are taking big chunks of responsibility for our lives. And again, that is why I came back to this book to reread it again, because there are things that I want. There are things that I want to do. I have goals. I have vision. There are things that I want to accomplish. There is a purpose that I need to fulfill. But if your mindset's not right, if your focus is not in the right place, you're not going to get there the way that you want to get there. And a lot of times when that is the case, when our mindset isn't right, we'll spend time blaming other things, other people, the weather, your mother, your father, your brothers and your sisters, your best friend, the girl down the street, the girl in high school. You'll spend your time blaming outward instead of looking inward to find a solution, to find a different choice. So that is one of the things that goes along with taking 100% responsibility for your life. One, you have to give up your excuses. That's hard, especially if you spend a lot of time with your excuses. And listen, if I'm stepping on your toes, know that I'm doing it in love, and know that I understand what that feels like, because I have been convicted numerous times in my life for this very same thing. It's uncomfortable when it's brought to our attention that we are the reason why we are where we are. It's uncomfortable, especially if you're not in the place where you want to be, right? Because you think, oh my gosh, how can this be my fault? Well, again, it's not about fault. It's about accepting responsibility for your choices, for your actions, for your decisions. I'm going to use weight on this because that is really super easy. You guys know that I love to eat food. I love food, right? Food is, I really wish that all food was like, low calorie and tasted delicious, because I would eat it all. It's not, though. And some of the stuff that is low calorie and good for you doesn't taste great. You got to find the balance there. But listen, I used to be very, very regimented, and I would get on the scale every single day. And I realized that was actually depressing me and kind of killing my mental health while I was doing that, because the number didn't say what I thought it should say, because I had a very unhealthy I had a very unhealthy view of what my body should look like and what the numbers on the scale should say, how those two things should correlate. Thankfully, I have made some different choices about how I see that number when I see that number, because I rarely get on the scale anymore. Every once in a while, I'll get on there. I choose more to think about how I feel, how my clothes fit, and other things like that to judge, how I'm doing on my with my physical fitness. Excuse me. So, but food is an easy one here, and weight loss is an easy one here. Now, I'm going to preface this with saying I am not talking to people who have medical conditions at all. Okay? We're not doing that. So please don't take that way. But for me and my weight, I like cookies. Okay? I like Oreos. I like double stuffed Oreos. I don't really like the mega stuff because I think they went a little overboard with that. But double stuffed Oreos are my favorite. I also like chocolate chip cookies. I also like to bake. I like to bake cookies. Listen, I also made a fantastic homemade apple pie. You guys, no kidding. It was phenomenal. My husband absolutely loved it. And he told me that I was never allowed to buy a store-bought apple pie again. I was like, wow, really? Cool. First time I'd ever made it. Anyway, but I love that kind of stuff. I've always been a sweets girl. I've always been a carbs girl. Give me sourdough bread. Give me really almost any kind of bread. And I am just a super happy girl. And French fries, I love French fries. Listen, this whole COVID-19 quarantine thing has had me making some purchases at the grocery store that I normally wouldn't. Mostly because my kids are home, and mostly because, I don't know why we think it's okay to feed them junk food and not us junk food. I'm not quite sure the logic on that. Maybe it's because they have better metabolism than we do. I don't know. Anyway, I've bought cookies. For 2 weeks in a row, that's what I did. Now, granted, I don't sit down and eat like 27 of them at a time, although I could. I will go to the pantry, and I make myself work for them too. Like, I won't just set them out where I can reach them easy. I'll go to the pantry and I'll get 2. And I'll take them and I'll eat them, whatever. And then, a few hours later, I'll go back to the pantry and I'll get 2 more. And then, whatever, maybe I'll have 2 after dinner. Anyway, by the time the day has gone by, I've had like 8 to 10 of them kind of spread throughout the day. I'm a grazer. So after doing that for a couple of weeks, guess what happened? Gosh, Crystal, that didn't look the same that it did a couple of weeks ago, right? Man, okay. So, but you know what I do? Instead of going, okay, instead of talking poorly to myself, instead of blaming myself for the fact that I do believe I've probably eaten 5 pounds worth of Oreos, and that's directly translated to at least 5, 7, maybe 8 pounds between my rear and my thighs. I didn't beat myself up over that. I would have. Past Crystal would have. I would have berated myself. I would have called myself all kinds of ugly names. It would not have been pretty. Instead, you know what I did? Well, guess I'm not going to buy Oreos this week at the grocery store, huh? Because it's my choice. I'm the one who goes to the grocery store. I'm the one who picks the things up off the shelf and puts them in my buggy. I'm the one who swipes my debit card to pay for those things. I do that. So, and if I know that if I bring Oreos in the house, I'm going to eat them, and I don't want to eat them because apparently I've overindulged a little bit and I need to back off some, why would I buy them and bring them into my house to set myself up for a bad choice? Why would I do that? Because we like to make excuses for things. So instead of 1, talking ugly to myself, instead of 2, making excuses or, anything else, or, oh, I'm stressed and that's why I'm going to eat, or, oh, da, 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 da. No. It's my choice. I eat the cookies because I like the cookies. I don't stress eat cookies. Good Lord, I can't imagine if that was an issue for me. I don't stress eat them. I eat them because I like them. But I also know that if I eat a lot of them, I'm going to gain weight. And if I don't want to gain weight, you know what I do? I don't buy the cookies. Or like right now, I'm in the like balancing back out phase, right? Because when you eat the cookies and they make you gain the weight, if you stop eating the cookies, the opposite happens, right? It's all about events and responses and outcomes. Okay, that is what this first chapter, I'm going to tie this all back into this book right now. That is what this first chapter is about. The events plus your response equals the outcome. Listen, ladies, you cannot always change the circumstance that you are faced with. You do not have control over what other people do. You don't have control over their choices. You may, in some instances, be able to sway them one way or another, depending on your relationship, depending on your powers of persuasion. You may be able to sway someone, but at the end of the day, it's still their choice. Just like at the end of the day, every decision you make, every thought you think is your choice. So when I talk to you about, or when I ask you the question, are you taking 100% responsibility for your life? I'm not doing it to make you feel bad. I'm not doing it to, to make you go sit in a corner and cry because your life is not the way you want it to be. No, 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 no. I'm doing it because, one, this is a question that I just recently had to ask myself again. Like I said, I've got things I want to do and they haven't happened yet. And you know why they haven't happened yet? Some of it is timing. Some of it is because I haven't done what I need to do in order to make those things happen. It's not on anybody else. It's on me. It's my choice. It's my decision. If I want that outcome, I have to change my response. And that's what I'm doing. So I'm taking you ladies with me. So again, I ask the question so that you can take a moment, you can pause and just reevaluate. Hey, am I taking 100% responsibility for my life and for my choices? Might be a good time to sit down and think about it. Might be a good time to pull out a journal and write down some areas where you think maybe you could make some better choices, or you could take a little more responsibility. The blame game really doesn't solve any problems. The only purpose it serves is to temporarily relieve you of that responsibility. But guess what? It's still your responsibility. So I'm going to wrap up with that. I will probably be bringing you more little tidbits as I continue to go through this. If you want to get it yourself, I would love to have conversation and discussion with you about what you think. Jack Canfield, The Success Principles, How to Get from Where You Are to Where You Want to Be. That is it in a nutshell, quite frankly. So I'll make sure that I continue to share things with you ladies as I pull them out of this book. And I hope that you'll take a minute to at least pause and think about what your own level of responsibility is within your life. Are you owning it? Are you taking responsibility? That doesn't mean that you're always making the best choices. That doesn't mean you're always making the right choices. But it does mean that when you're making your choices, whether they are good, bad, right, or wrong, that you own them and that you are being accountable to yourself and you are being responsible and taking ownership of your choices and your decisions, because it is your life. Yeah? Yeah. Okay, so I will leave you with that. Today is Tuesday. So I will see you ladies all right back here tomorrow on Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. Eastern. right here on the ladies' lunch break. As always, you're welcome to check the video out. Like and share, hit that notification so that you know when we go live. Also on YouTube as well, make sure you hit the subscribe button up there in the top and the little bell so that you know when we go live. And feel free to share this out. Feel free to invite ladies into the group to join over on Facebook. So until tomorrow, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your afternoon, and I'll see you then. Take care.